All right, everyone. I'm not going to make you guys that were proactive and got here on time make you wait anymore. We still have some people coming in. They're filtering in. I'm going to go ahead and get started. First off, thank you for being here. I know this time of year is crazy. It feels like I've walked 1,000,000 steps today, but I appreciate you being here. I think it's extremely important that parent, athlete, coaches, and athletic department are all on the same page, and we're all following the same expectations. And I know that with the transition that we have within our district, that is extremely important in developing a culture where our kids are going to be successful. So thank you. I know for some of you this is maybe your second time. If you have 4 kids like me, eventually I'll be through this, or my wife will have to come to this 3 times. But so thank you for coming here again. We're going to go ahead and get started. I am Corey Ace. I am the athletic director here in the Waynesville R6 School District. This is actually my second year as athletic director, starting my second year. I sort of know what I'm doing now. Last year I had no idea what I was doing, but I think I got a pretty good hold of things now. This is actually my 12th year within the district. Before this, I was an assistant principal for 4 years, 2 years here at the high school and 2 years at the middle school. And then prior to that, I was a wrestling coach here and an English teacher. I know that's an oxymoron, wrestling coach and English teacher. That doesn't happen too often. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First things first, I just want to share what our athletic goals and our activity goals here are within our department. These were actually created by all of our coaches last year. So we came in, we meet at the beginning of the year, and we sat down and we really discussed what are our goals as an athletic department. And what we came up with is, number 1, create a positive culture where students grow through sport and activity. 2, build positive character traits and leadership in Waynesville high school students and Waynesville middle school students, and 6th graders now, because we are incorporating some stuff for 6th graders. And then 3rd, provide opportunities for students to develop skills, compete, and have fun. That last part being probably the most important part. Just a quick overview of what we're going to go over tonight. Really, we're going to speed through a lot of this stuff. What I will say is that if you have questions at the end, please feel free to come down and ask me those questions so that they're specific to your son or your family. Be happy to stay here all night long and answer any questions that you may have. But the first thing we're going to go over, we're going to talk about what's our role and purpose. And really, that is kind of 3 areas. What is our role as coaches? What is our role as parents? And what are our roles as student athletes? Second thing we'll talk about is just how we communicate back and forth, those lines of communication and the best ways to do so. Third, MSHSAA eligibility. So we'll briefly discuss what it is that makes a student athlete eligible and what can cause that student athlete not to be eligible. Signs and procedures for concussion. We are not going to watch the video. It is online. It is on the MSHSAA website. It's not required for you to watch it, but I will go over return to play protocol for concussions and some of the stuff that we have going on here as far as sports medicine. We'll discuss fitness and conditioning and off-season expectations very briefly, and then we'll review the athletic handbook. Every one of you got one of those athletic handbooks tonight. It's that white book that you have. Anything that you may have a question about should be in that handbook. Obviously, if you have questions after that, after reading it, please don't hesitate to contact my office. That's what we're here for. All right, so first things first, these are two of my 4. Probably the most difficult thing that I've ever done as a parent and as a coach is be a parent that coaches. So just to show of hands, how many parents in here have coached before? There's probably lots of you, right? Probably the most difficult thing you've ever done, right? That's why I'm kind of bald, and I got these grays in my beard up here. It is the most difficult thing that I do, and I really got to put things in perspective when I do so. That being said, I would like you to, we're not going to actually do this, but if you go home tonight, you can actually do this with your son or daughter. But just to show of hands from parents or get some audience participation here, feel free to shout out. Any parent, what's your purpose for your student athlete playing a sport? Go ahead, shout it out. Team building. Team building. What's that? Better attitude. I have a 17-year-old. I know what you're feeling there. Keep them busy.
Me time.
Me time. That's a good one. Okay. How about scholarships? How many kids want their kids to get scholarships? Yeah, okay. How about, so they're on the front page of the newspaper? Come on, you know you like that. I mean, I want my kids to be up there. Okay? All right. So that being said, and that was good participation. I heard some good things. When Michigan State actually did this study, the number one reason that kids said that they did a sport was what? What do you think? What was that? We have a kid right up front here. What'd you say?
For fun.
To have fun. Okay? To have fun. So that's not just middle schoolers or high schoolers. That was Division I athletes looking to go to the pros that took this study. And it was over like 150,000 athletes that they surveyed. The number one reason was to have fun. So part of my job as an athletic director is to make sure kids are having fun. But in order to do that, we all have to be on the same page. Because being a student athlete is demanding. Okay, it is. I was a Division I wrestler. It was extremely demanding. I don't know if I would do it all over again if I had to. Okay, but it is demanding. It was demanding in high school. But the number one thing that helps our student athletes is if they're having fun. Then the work ethic, the discipline, all that other stuff that goes with being an athlete is easy because they have the right mindset. But just keep that in the back of your mind. Student athletes too. It's not what you do. It's not that you go out to practice. You go through practice. You're not doing it to be popular. Your why. Why are you doing that? Really, what is the purpose for you doing that? And I heard some of those things with parents. We do it for teamwork. We do it to build a strong character and attitude. So just keep those things in mind. That being said, our purpose here at Waynesville High School, even though it pains me to say this sometimes, is not to win everything. Okay? It is not to win everything. Believe me, I want to win state titles. I want to win conference titles. I want to win. I like it. I enjoy winning. It's fun. Okay? But our kids don't learn through winning. Okay? They learn through hard work. They learn through dedication. They learn through failure. Okay? That's really what we want our student athletes to do, is learn through that. Learn through that failure. Learn through that struggle, so that they're prepared when they walk out of here. Just some statistics, less than 2.36% of high school athletes will play beyond high school at a Division I, Division II, or Division III school. Okay, 2.36. Less than 3% will participate at any level after they leave Waynesville High School, okay, if they graduate from here. Keep that in mind. Okay, we're not playing for scholarships. Okay, we're playing to educate our student athletes so that they can go be better husbands, better wives, mothers, okay, whatever it may be, better CEO of a company. Okay, that is our purpose. That being said, this year we're incorporating what are called Tiger Tough Talks, and I just wanted to share this. I've talked with some of our leadership, some of our student athletes that are maybe captains, varsity starters last year, etc. And we will be developing in the schedule of the day. We have RTI time this year at the high school. Every third Wednesday starting next month in September, we will be meeting with student athletes. It is open, it is not mandatory, but they can come down and we're going to focus on things like motivation. We're going to talk about attitude. We're going to talk about resiliency. National Guard's going to come in. Leadership from the fort's actually going to come in. And we're going to do some of those things with our student athletes specifically. So I just wanted to share that. Again, there will be a schedule that comes out. We'll push that out to kids. There's already kids that I've been talking to about that. But I just want parents to be aware of that if you want to encourage your kids to come. That being said, player's role, I can go through this, but I really like this. This is your role, student athlete, so I'm talking to you specifically. Okay, this is your role. If you focus on doing these 10 things, everything else will take care of itself. Be on time, have a strong work ethic, give effort when you're at practice, have positive body language. I have a 10-year-old that has horrible body language. Horrible body language. I don't know how many times I've made the statement body language to him, and attitude, whoever said attitude up there in the back. Okay? It's something that we're working on. Energy, your energy level. Attitude, passion. 8, being coachable. Okay, we have really, really good coaches. Okay, really, really good coaches. Okay, we do. Be coachable, student athletes. Okay. I'm not going to hire a coach that I don't think is going to make us better. I promise you that. Okay, be coachable. Do extra, and then always be prepared. If you focus on those things, that is your role as a student athlete. It's not to score touchdowns. It's not to make big plays. Okay, it is to do these things on a daily basis to make yourself a better person. Okay, if you do those, you will do well. I promise you. Just sportsmanship. This goes for really everyone. This goes for our coaches. This goes for parents. This goes for student athletes. Don't embarrass anyone. Respect officials. That's a big thing. Okay, we will not yell at officials. Okay, if I have parents yelling at officials, first time I will ask you to stop. Second time, you will not be allowed to come to games. There will be a suspension. Okay, third time, you will not be allowed to watch anything. We're not going to do that. We're not going to have that perception on Waynesville. Okay, so please don't do so. Respect property of school, encourage your team, cheer for everyone, cheer for every kid. Treat opponents with respect, appreciate good play. I saw some really stellar plays last night at the volleyball jamboree from the other team, and I was just like, wow. Okay. I also saw other fans, when we had good plays, clapping and cheering. And actually some of the kids from Raleigh were doing so, and some of our kids were as well. No noisemakers, taunts towards opponents, so no kettlebells at football games, please. That is a MSHSAA role. And just be modest in victory and gracious in talent, or in defeat, sorry. Our coaches' roles are the following: to manage the team of players. They do determine team placement and playing time. I'll say it up front, that is something that I will not have a conversation about. I won't have a conversation about who's the starting quarterback. Okay. I will not have a conversation that my son or daughter only saw 6 minutes in the varsity girls soccer game. Okay. Those things we will not have conversations about. Things that we will have conversations about are, what can we do to get your son or daughter to be that quarterback? What do they need to improve on? What can we do to help the relationship between the coach and the player? And, you know, what are other options that we have? Can they play different positions? So I will talk and discuss those. If you have any questions about that, those are things that I am more than happy to discuss, and we can also discuss with the coach as well. All right, other things, coaches' role, they're to develop our kids, not just in skill, but also character. Parents and spectators' role, number one, support your athletes, support all athletes. Okay, we are a team, we are a program. If we're all cheering and we're positive, we're more likely to do better. Applaud good play, ours and opponents, and respect and do not interact with the officials. Coaches' communication, just quickly, I'll go over this. So that handbook that you have, page 11 and 12, the things, you can look through that. Expectations from parents. Again, I've addressed this, the things that we will talk about and the things that we will not talk about. What I ask is that if you have a conversation with a coach, that you at least give that coach 24 hours. So the appropriate time is not right after the game when emotions are high, both for the coach, maybe they lost the game and there was a bad call or whatever, and and something happened or a kid got fouled or your kid wasn't in there to take the three-point shot at the end of the game. Okay, please don't address those things right after the game. If there's a conversation that's going to be had, I ask that you wait 24 hours, you think about it, and then we do so in a professional manner. Real quickly, again, MSHSAA protocol. We are required to follow MSHSAA protocol. As far as concussions go, there are different levels of concussion. What I will say is that this year we have hired a new athletic trainer, an ATC, that is in-house all day long. So she is here from 7 a.m. until the last sporting event happens in the day. So she is here throughout the whole entire day. That athletic trainer will evaluate and make any determination according to symptoms and severity. So if it's at home event and the athletic trainer is at that event, that will be the person that determines that. If it is away, hopefully the away team has a trainer. They will be the ones that determine that. If there's any symptoms, even if it's my head hurts a little bit, okay, that is a symptom of a concussion. Immediately, that student will be set, and they will be done. We will then contact parents, obviously, let you know that, hey, your son took a hit, was running the ball, got hit in the side of the head, came off, said that he had a headache. We'll address that, we'll let you know, and then we will coordinate care appropriately. So the ATC might say, hey, I would suggest that you take him to the emergency room and get him checked out. And we'll do that with coaches, parents, physician, and our school nurse as well. We have something we added this year called Healthy Roster, so it helps communication between parents and our athletic trainer a lot easier. So there could be text messages sent back and forth, documents shared over that, etc. I will tell a quick story, and I will make it quick. Last year, I talked to an athletic director in Kansas. He's been an AD for over 20 years. But I asked him a question, as being a first-year AD, what was the toughest thing that you ever had to deal with as an athletic director? He began to tell me this story of how he had a kid that, at practice, or the week prior to, the Friday prior to, was diagnosed with a concussion at the end of the game. They brought him out for the last minute or two of the game. They ended up winning the game, but the next week they had a big opponent. And, parents wanted him to play. It was his senior year. So, of course, the trainer, checked him out, said, hey, you're done for at least, 3 days or whatever. Went to the trainer. Trainer says, I still don't think he's ready. Coach said, all right, we're going to follow whatever you say. Well, they went to a doctor. That doctor cleared that individual. And they came back and they called administration in and they made a big fuss about it, saying that they were cleared. We want our kid to play that Friday night. And the answer to that question that I asked that AD his answer was, I had to sit there and watch this mother cry after her son passed away in that Friday night football game after getting hit. Wasn't even in the game 2 minutes. So we're not going to mess around with concussions. Or any type of head trauma. We will follow return to play by MSHSAA, and essentially what that is if it's just a dong in the head and I have a headache, that's a symptom. The first day back to practice that you are cleared will be light cardiovascular exercise. Okay, that's like jumping jacks. Second thing, running in the gym or on the field with no helmet and or equipment if you have to wear equipment. Third, no contact training drills and full equipment and weight training can be in. So if they're in a TPT class, they can start lifting weights again. Fourth, full normal practice or training. A walkthrough practice does not count as a full normal practice. So if it is Thursday night and you're a football player and all you're doing is a walkthrough, that does not count. Okay, you had to hit on Wednesday and be okay. And then last, full participation must be cleared by a doctor, a nurse practitioner, or a neuropsychologist before returning to play. and our trainer can do so as well. She is trained in that, and she can give a scat, which she will constantly. Actually, we had a color guard girl hit her head with a flag, and we had to bring her in. So that was our first concussion of the year. I thought it would be football, but it wasn't. Quickly, communication. A lot of you have probably been on the website, but if you go to our athletic website, that is at the top, you can actually select what sport you want to follow. Any changes or notifications will be sent to you via text if you sign up for that, so you'll get those notifications immediately. This is what our website looks like. If you take a look up here, these are all the schedules. So you can go up here, you can see any of the schedules. It has all grade levels, 7th, 8th, varsity, JV, freshman, under those seasons. And those are the 3 seasons that will follow. If you're looking for like any type of documentation, important info and forums, you can go there as well. Basically, there will be a list of everything along with any information that you may need for maybe traveling, overnight stuff, weekends, things of that nature. So, and you can go to more, whereas basically anything that you need to know, you can find that and search through the website. In addition to that, we've linked pretty much everything from that page to the district webpage, and you can go to our district webpage. You can go to either departments or programs and services and click on athletics, and this is the main page that you'll get, and you'll be able to find any of the information there, summer schedules, after, off-season schedules, anything of that nature, camps, all that information will be on there, and you'll be able to look at that as the seasons come up. Right, quickly, MSHSAA eligibility. A bona fide student essentially is a student that is enrolled at the high school for 3 credit hours in a semester. That is 6 classes. So that are credit bearing. So 6 classes that are credit bearing. If they had a study hall, then that would not be credit bearing. But if they had 6 other classes, they would be fine. So that is what is considered a bona fide student. We are only traditional students, so no homeschool students can be involved in our activities. You have to be here for an entire day to be able to participate at Waynesville, our 6th school district. Academics, kind of rolled on that. We do have a no F policy here, and essentially what that is a student cannot fail a class the semester prior to. So if we had a student that failed the 2nd semester and wanted to play a fall sport, that student would now be ineligible for this semester and all fall seasons and could not do so. So students, academics are extremely important. Middle school is the same way, but they do 6 to 9 week grading periods. So they look at those grading periods from 6 to 9 weeks prior to the season. Resident requirements, essentially you have to live in the school district or be an employee of the school district and have your son or daughter enrolled here. Any transfers? How many people here are new? Raise your hand, because I always like to see how many are new. Okay, if you are new and you're coming from out of state or another school district, I will have to do a transfer paper on you, transfer request on you. I've already started those, but we have to have those done prior to. I may be contacting you, may have already contacted some of you. Sometimes the information that we needed is not granted to us. So, for example, your former address, wherever you may have lived, if you were stationed over in Germany, I would need to know what that address is in order to put that in. So you may be getting a phone call from me, or I might shoot you an email. If you get that information back to me as soon as possible, we'll get those transfer requests done. I think I pretty much do more transfer requests than anyone in the state, and it's a lot of paperwork. Participation limits. There are limits on participation. What I will say is that if you are in season, let's say for example you're an in-season softball player, this is the fall season that we're currently in, and you want to play on a travel team, you cannot do so. You cannot play in another organization during the same season. Now, if you were a softball player and you wanted to play, let's say, for example, volleyball on a travel team, you could do so. In addition, there are some rules as far as tryouts, all-star games, things of that nature. I'm not going to go into great detail about that, but if you have questions, if your son or daughter wants to go to a baseball showcase, those are things that could jeopardize their eligibility. So please call me, and I will let you know what it is the state does allow and does not allow. Amateur versus awards. Just know this: if they get paid to do anything, or that company is paying them or buying anything, that's usually not a good sign. Okay, so make sure that's not happening. Student has to be enrolled essentially for 8 consecutive semesters of high school. So, for example, we had a student this year that came to us and was not, had already had enough credits as a senior in his last school, but did not go to school the last semester. Here in the state of Missouri, the first day of your freshman year starts your 8 consecutive semesters of high school. So if you start your freshman year, you then have 8 semesters from that date to be able to participate in the state of Missouri. So there's really no age requirement per se. It's when you start that freshman year and move forward. It makes things pretty clear. Graduated students, so if we have anyone in here that is a senior and new and they're looking at graduating in December, just know that if you do graduate in December, that you cannot then participate in the winter and or the spring season. Okay, you must be enrolled both semesters in order to participate in the winter and or spring season. Again, non-school competitions. If you have a question, if you're wondering if your son or daughter can do that, please call my office, ask me directly. I'll give you the answer that you're looking for as far as all-star games and tryouts. Recruiting of athletes, there are some NA, IA, and NCAA rules. So if you have a senior and or a junior and they're talking about bringing them on a visit, those are things that I can answer as well. I was an NCAA Division I coach and I did recruit, so I know those rules pretty well. For NCAA Division I, you're allowed 5 official visits. 5 official visits means that they can pay for your travel, they can pay for your meals, they can pay for your lodging, etc. That is included as official visit. So if you have questions of that nature, please come to me. NCAA rules and NAIA or junior college rules are very different, so just let me know which one it is and we'll get you squared away. Back to transfers. If you're transferring for any reason other than, or if you're transferring merely because you want to come to Waynesville and play football at Waynesville, that does make you ineligible. So do not tell anyone that. If that's the reason that you came, you're here because we kick butt in the classroom, which we do, and this is a great school. Really briefly, this is mainly for kids and for you parents to know what our expectations are. Like I said, we have a no F policy. We will have academic advisory, or what we call WIN, 2 days a week. We started that last year. That will take place from 2:45 to 3:30, and essentially what WIN is we will be checking student athletes' grades. Coaches will be responsible for doing so. The reports will come out of my office, and they will have academic advisory. So if you were a college athlete or went to college and you had academic advisory, you know that you went to practice and then you went to academic advisory afterwards, and then you had basically what we call study tables or study hall for that time. But we will be monitoring kids' grades. If they do fall into the D or F range, during that time we have supports for them in the library, that they can go to the library. We have a couple math tutors, which that typically tends to be the class that our student athletes struggle with, as well as some language arts teachers in that area. And that is mandatory, so those practices will not start until after 3:30. Just to share a little bit kind of where we're at, 3.2 GPA average of all of our student athletes last year. that was any kid that may have even signed up, and let's say they went out for wrestling and halfway through the year they decided wrestling's not for them, they don't want to have ugly years like Mr. Ace, they would and left. We still track those kids in their GPAs. Varsity level student athletes, their average, and average is misspelled up there. That's part of that learning from failure, right? I should have checked it a little closer. That 3.31 is the average of all of our varsity student athletes. And then if you look at 2-sport athletes and 3-sport athletes, you can see that our 3-sport athletes have higher GPAs than the overall population. Okay, so they're doing 3 sports and they're taking care of business in the classroom as well. So what I know as an individual is when I was in athletics and I was focused and I was doing, had discipline, I did better in the classroom. So we do encourage multi-sport athletes. All the research will show that it's beneficial for kids, not just academically, but also for their own athleticism. And we're getting there, guys. I know. I got to go through this. We're getting there. Tiger Performance Training. Essentially, Tiger Performance Training is our strength and conditioning program that we have here at the school. It is a 70% expectation, so if you want to be a varsity starting athlete, you are expected to be there 70% of the time. Essentially, that equals to about 100 workouts within the whole entire year. So if you are in the class and you're enrolled in the class and you come to the preseason stuff for coach, you're taken care of. No big deal. If not, we do offer it multiple times during the day, 6:30 a.m. And then we also offer it right after school as well. I believe that establishing strong minds and strong bodies is extremely important. I think the weight room does that. I know the weight room does that. All the research will show that is extremely important, and it prevents injury. This is our facility here at the high school. In the main building, we also have a field house A where we have workouts as well. Currently, we have, 561 students at Waynesville High School enrolled in a weightlifting class, which I think is awesome. Kids are enjoying it, they're understanding that it's beneficial, and obviously we're going to reap rewards from that in the future. If you see some of our underclassmen lately, they're bigger. Okay, they're faster, except for you. But 561 last year, we had 289. The gains that we made overall, both male and female last year, were above 30%. And in addition to that, we have incorporated middle school TPT classes and 6th grade center, where at the 6th grade center, they're mainly focusing on functional movement, learning the technique, not really adding any weight at that time. Just basic guidelines. If you look at page 2 of that handbook, that are the basic guidelines. That's probably the most important page for you to read of that handbook. I'm not going to go through all these. Just explain kind of the difference between shuttle bus versus activity bus. The shuttle bus is the bus that takes them to practice. The activity bus, it takes them to practice and from practice to the high school. The activity bus is actually the bus that leaves the high school. So that activity bus will leave at 5:45 from the high school, and then however long it takes for that route to run. Any student athlete that is wanting to ride home with a parent must be signed out first. If you are wanting that student athlete to ride with your neighbor, what you need to do is you need to have a written letter on file with me prior to that happening. I will notify a coach, give them a copy of that letter, and then they may ride with that person. Kids cannot ride with kids, so they should not be riding with one another. They shouldn't leave here to go to the baseball field in the same vehicle. Okay, that's why we provide shuttle buses. Minimum attendance, this comes up a lot. Actually, I had a softball player ask me today about it. Minimum attendance means that you have to be present during the day in order to compete on that day at least 6 hours and whatever it is, 32 minutes. Okay, so you cannot be more than 20 minutes late. If you're 20 minutes late, you're absent first hour, and if you're absent first hour, you do not compete on that day. I had to sit a basketball player down last year and a football player down last year. It's not a good conversation to have with a kid. That's something I never want to do, but there's a reason that we do that, because if we don't, we'll have a lot of kids showing up late on game days, and that's important that we do so. School discipline. If a student is disciplined during school, whatever suspension, whatever that may be, that discipline means that they cannot compete for that amount of time. So if someone were to get into a shoving match in the cafeteria and they receive 5 days in-school suspension for that, that student athlete would be out for 5 days from competing. So if that happened on a Tuesday and you're the starting quarterback, you will not be starting on Friday night. Everyone is required to sign a commitment form. Student athletes got those. You got those in your packet. Coaches will be collecting those and we'll hand them into our office. As soon as that is a 365-day commitment. Citizenship, student athletes, what I'm going to tell you, it's very simple. You're old enough to know right from wrong. Doing drugs, alcohol, tobacco, those things that as a student athlete are wrong. Okay. In addition to that, what you do on social media that we'll talk about here very briefly is important as well. So if you're putting stuff out there on social media and a coach finds out about it, okay, that is a citizenship violation. Okay, so please watch what you're doing. Okay, those things will not be taken lightly, and you know they will be addressed, and there will be some type of suspension. Almost done. Social media. I'm going to tell you this right now. College coaches are watching it. Employers are watching it. They are doing so. Division I programs. I've talked to Division I coaches in football program, friends that I have, that hire people on the coaching staff to track their recruits' social media. Hear that, kids? They hire a coach, an IT guy, a nerd, whatever you want to say, okay, to do that. That is his or her job. And it takes 30 seconds for a person to know that knows what they're doing to find out what you're doing. That's it, 30 seconds. So be careful. We're one-to-one now. Those Chromebooks that you got, if you plug your phone into it, what's on your phone goes to that Chromebook. Okay, we've already had students that have had stuff on there, and then it goes through our filter. So be careful what you do. Parents, if you want to hit technology up, you can pay them $25. They might be able to check your kid's phone out for you to see what's on there. So be careful. Division I coach said, we stopped recruiting athletes with questionable social media accounts. Here's another one. Dropped another prospect this morning due to his social media presence. Actually glad I got to see the real person before we offered him. If you ever heard the statement, don't lose a $140,000 scholarship for a 140-character tweet. Be careful what you're doing. Some of you dads know who this is. These kids have no idea, but he gave a speech to NFL players, essentially said, don't press send. When you leave here, when you get ready to leave here, if you are wanting passes, you can take a look at this. This is basically what gate entries are and the differences between passes and season passes and family passes, etc. They are selling them out here, so if you want to do so, Ms. Vaughn is out there. She can take care of you. Booster Club, we are looking for representatives for a Booster Club, so if you are someone who just wants to help out and be involved, you don't have to, it's not a huge requirement. They meet once every second week on a Monday at 5:30 in the lecture hall. If you have questions about that, I can answer your questions. I can put you in touch with the right people. Don't forget your athletic commitment forms and the white card that you guys got. That white card, do not lose that white card, because if you don't hand that in, that means you did not attend. So that white card is very important, and make sure Miss Nancy gets that. Guys, thank you. I know it was a long week. If you have questions, I'll be happy to answer your questions down here.